My name is Usman Mukhtar, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you, STMU and the students. Well, I was coming here because my niece went to Shifa. I came across a lot of doctors, and as some of you may know, I'm playing a doctor in this drama that I'm doing right now. But don't worry, I'm not going to perform any surgeries. I'll just dissect my career. It's safer for all of us. I was a very naughty kid when I was growing up. I was a handful, and my mother was a single mother, and she decided that she's going to send me to boarding school. And I went to boarding school, and I was a nerd, I was a geek. I was always a fan of superheroes, reading comic books, had action figures, all of that. So when I was in boarding school, I didn't have a lot of opportunities to take my comic books along or action figures along, but whenever we'd have an off day, and boarders, when you're in boarding school, you're either a day scholar or a boarder. I was a boarder, unfortunately. I would live there, and whenever my mother would come to either take me home, or we used to have these days called town days where you would be allowed to go out and spend the day with your family, and then you'd have to report back. So whenever I'd have town days, my mother would take me to Mall Road in Murray, and there was a bookstore there. So I'd take her to the bookstore, and there were comic books and books there, and I came across this book called Umro Yaar. It was a wonderful book. It was came from Dastane Amir Hamza, and I got introduced to the literature then. So I would ask my mother to buy me some Umro Yaar books. And when she would drop me off, I'd ask her to read me one book at least. So she would, and she would drop me off. Later on, I came back from the boarding school, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just remember when I was, Windows Millennium came out. How many of you know what Windows Millennium was? Sir, you're my age group. Windows Millennium introduced this software called Windows Movie Maker. And I started experimenting with that because I was a huge wrestling fan. And I would make Undertaker tribute videos, edit them, and show them to my friends. And my sister had this really old Handycam. It looked like a steering. And I had these makeup kits with like witch makeup and Frankenstein makeup. And I'd do the makeup, and I'd make weird faces in front of the camera. Thank God those tapes are nowhere to be found now. And I would edit those, and I just learned it myself. And I remember back in 2002 or 2003, there was this film festival happening in Pakistan. It was called Kara Film Festival. And some of my friends were like, hey, you do this, you edit stuff and all of that. Why don't you make something and submit it into Kara? I said, well, I mean, I don't know how to make a film. I just know how to edit things. And I'm like, okay, I'll try. But that year, the film festival didn't happen. They canceled. And I think that was the last year that the film festival happened. And back then, cinema wasn't digital. You didn't have DSLRs that would make videos. So a friend of mine had an old camcorder. And I was like, I saw some of the Pakistani films that were out there. And I was like, sure, I can make better film than this. So I picked up the camera, and we were like, okay, what do we need? We need a script. We wrote a script. And we were supposed to shoot in the jungle. So we went to the jungle. We had no concept of permissions or anything like that. We just went to the jungle, and we're like, we need lights. What do we do about lights? So we saw some pictures of lights on Google, and we're like, okay, we can make these. So I went back near the quarters, and I saw this bowl, जिसके अंदर आप cement बनाते हैं. I took that bowl, I went to the welder, I said, इसके अंदर सुराख करके इसके अंदर bulb लगा दें. So they're like, okay. And we took the bulb, and a friend of ours had, and we're like, we're not going to have electricity in the jungle, so what do we do? So a friend of mine goes like, I have a UPS. I said, that's great. So we take the UPS, not knowing it's uninterrupted power supply. We took it. 11 hours later, we set up the lights. We turn on the UPS. It turns on for 2 minutes and then it goes off. And we're like, where did we go wrong? Then somebody Googled and said, it's not going to work. It's uninterrupted power supply. That was the first time I failed as a filmmaker, and I was like, that's when I wanted to learn what filmmaking was. And at that time, we didn't have a lot of film schools in Pakistan. I think NCA introduced film courses later on. So what I had was I used to go to libraries, see books on filmmaking, Google filmmaking, whatever I'd find, I would kind of try to read that and experiment on it. And meanwhile, I was trying to make a short film, and I was auditioning for it. And a friend of mine, who used to be a theater director, he was like, why don't you, I'm also doing a theater and I want you to come and I want you to audition. So I went, I auditioned, and he's like, have you ever considered acting? I said, no. He's like, why don't you? I think you'd be really good for this role that we're doing. And I said, you really think so? He's like, yeah. So I said, okay, we did. And the concept of rehearsals, 3 months of rehearsals at that time was very new to us. So I took part in it while I was also experimenting as a filmmaker, and we did our first theater play, and everybody was like, oh, that's very nice, you should consider acting. And that's how I came into acting, but I never took it seriously. I always wanted to be a filmmaker. I just wanted to prove everybody wrong that I can make good films. And then I made this film called Asiya, which was a case that I'd read up on. It was about this maid who was tortured and raped in Pakistan, and it wasn't. So we made that short, and it won, and we submitted it to Films, which was a Lumps Film Festival. That was the only film festival happening in Pakistan. And it was made on a camcorder, which had a really bad quality, but I still submitted the film. And I went to Lumps that year and I saw some of the films, and they were really well shot. And I was like, I'm never going to win this. Well, I mean, 2 days passed. They were finalizing the final films. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't think we're going to win. So I decided that I'm going to leave that day. And I get a call from the film's people, and they're like, oh, your film has been shortlisted for the finals. So I was really excited, so I got a rickshaw and I went to Lumps. I didn't have a car. I went there, I sat there, and Asiya won. And I was in shock. I was like, I don't know how that happened, but it happened. So that's when I decided that I'm going to apply to film school, and I want to tell my family that I want to become a filmmaker. And when I told them, all hell broke loose. They were like, no, you cannot. You're not going to over my dead body. All these things, emotional blackmailing. And I was like, no, I really want to. They're like, no, you either become a doctor, you either become a lawyer, or if you don't want to do these things and you think both these professions are going to be really hard, then just do simple MBA. And I said, I really don't. I think I want to study film. And they're like, no, I will just experiment as a filmmaker. I'll keep making stuff till I can make a film of my own. And then I tried making films. I tried doing music videos. I would do a lot of videos just for myself, a short film, a comedy short film, stuff like that. And then we found out that there's a place opening in Islamabad, and it's called Kuch Khas, and it will let, they need a production head. And I'm like, I might as well apply, because this was the age where you wanted money. I had a pocket money of 3,000 rupees at the time, and I had a really Khatara car, which now I think was a blessing for me. And because the fuel was so expensive, out of those 3,000 rupees, every day I would get 50 rupees CNG in it to drive around. So I needed money. I went to Kuch Khas, and that's the first time I met Poppy, who was an amazing, she was like a mother to all of us, not just me, Usman, Hamza, all of us theatre actors who were growing up in Islamabad. She gave us a platform. She told us that if you have a creative mind, you have a home. And I went there, and she saw my work, and she hired me as a production head, and I was golden. I was like, okay, I have money. I was getting paid 35,000 rupees a month. I was really happy. And then I had to leave Kuch Khas after a couple of years. I left. At that point, I was like, okay, filmmaking is not doing it for me. The kind of content I want to make, I can't make it. I can only make short films. I don't have a producer. I don't have a financer. So maybe try my luck at acting. So I started doing a lot of more theater plays, tried to audition for films, and then finally a producer said, okay, I want you to be in this film that I'm doing. It's called Janan. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get money. I'm gonna, I'm like, how much? He's like, no, we're not gonna pay you. It's just a cameo. You'll just have, your total screen time is 10, 12 minutes. So, I mean, we're just kind of putting you out there, and then maybe the next film we'll see. I said, okay. I did the film. After that, I got an offer for this other film called Parchi, and I was like, at that point, I was very, very confident. I got a lot of offers for dramas, but I said, no, I don't want to do TV. I'm a film actor. I don't want to do TV. I did Parchi, and Parchi released, and I'm like, this is my make or break. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be a big movie star. Parchi releases, and 8 months, no offers. Like, was I that bad at the movie? And that was a really difficult time, because I gained so much weight. I was, I think, 40 kgs over. I was broke. And it's 8 months later that I get and this is a very odd time for a Hum TV person to call me. At 11 at night, I get a call, and they're like, I'm Shajil from Hum TV, and I would like to offer you this drama. It's called Kainaat. Now, a lot of people don't know, Anna's working title was Kainaat. And they're like, we want to offer you this. It's called Kainaat. I said, okay, can you tell me what the role is? He's like, well, this guy is very rich. He has a lot of businesses, and he's like Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. And if you've seen this movie called 50 Shades of Grey, I'm like, what is Hum TV doing? Anyway, I googled it, and then these guys are really good-looking dudes, like really, like, and they're hero. And I look at myself, and I'm like, do you want like a hero, or a guy who ate the hero? It was just really. So the producer goes, he's like, why don't you come over to the office, and we'll have a meeting. I said, okay. I went, and he looked at me, and for the first time, he's like, He's like, you'll have to, we have, I think, 3.5 months. Can you lose all this weight? I said, I can try. He's like, okay. So I started going to the gym. I started starving myself. I was just on it, but somehow the drama got pushed a couple of months, and I had the perfect. By the time they started production, I was Mr. Darcy, and well, we shot the drama, and I had no idea how powerful drama is in our country. That drama released, I think 2 episodes later, my life changed. Everybody was talking about the character I played and everything, and the relatives who hated me and who said, oh, look at him, he doesn't do anything, he's the black sheep of the family. They wanted pictures with me. I'm like, what's happening? This is, it's crazy. And then I started getting offers for other dramas and everything. And as an actor, these dramas, I'm really grateful to a lot of dramas. I am who I am because of these dramas, not the films. But it's amazing how these dramas kind of are so powerful. And because of these dramas, I got an opportunity in 2020 where I got a call from somebody, and they said, we have a project for you, and it's called Umru Yar. I'm like, what? And I met these guys, and they're like, it's Umru Yar. I said, I'm in. I'm in my 3rd grade, taking my mother to Mall Road, buying the books of Umru Yar, and here I am being offered to play Umru Yar. So the point is, if you work hard, you're going to get there. The experiences that you have in life make you the better version of yourself. Work hard and be very, very honest to your work, whatever you do. Thank you.